Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest album from Armand, Shrines. So this is the newest full-length album from the experimental hip-hop duo that consists of Mr. Backwoodz and Euclid. Now the last album that they released, Paraffin, was one of my favorite records of 2018, and to be honest, I mean, anything that Backwoodz has his hand in nowadays, I'm going to be intrigued by. And sort of similar to the vibe Billy brings to the table on his solo material, this new Armand record over here does kind of fit in that grim, despondent world. The beats are jagged at times, really slow churning, and also abstract. I even picked up sort of a King Ghidorah vibe on a couple of these tracks with those really strange, soaring string samples, like on the second track, Solarium. But each track on this record does kind of have its own sound, which I suppose you could look at and say this is not a consistent sounding album, but to me, the variety that this album brings to the table does kind of reinforce that atmosphere, which is coming from some pretty interesting guest producers this time around, like Earl Sweatshirt, who produced the opening track. You have up-and-coming rapper Navy Blue, who's got a hand in about 4 or 5 tracks. And of course, the master himself, Mr. Kenny Siegel, on the track Dead Cars. All of this comes together with the extremely thought-provoking and heady lyricism of both Billy and Euclid, like in the past. This time, there isn't really a consistent theme or narrative going on, but they do touch upon religion more consistently than other themes. Each track does sort of follow its own path, though, but has some standout lines along the way. Some of my favorites are like, "It's easy to lose track of time and get stuck in the future," like on Flavor Flav, which is a track that's all centered around time. Or even Milo's opening line on the track Dead Cars, where he's talking about having a big Bitcoin hoard and a VCR that still records. I kind of like that one. But there are just like tons and tons of lines packed in here. I feel like listing them off would just be boring. But overall, these two work extremely well as a duo when they trade off their verses, especially how gruff and grim their voices sound. And I thought there were some quality features on here as well, like Quelle Chris on the track Frida, also Rap Ferreira, aka Milo, and Fielded had a couple really nice vocal performances woven in there as well. I thought the only underwhelming feature on this record, surprisingly, came from Earl Sweatshirt on that track Ramses 2. He just sounds like he has no interest in being there, and he just is so brief, and overall just kind of becomes a distraction. And as I was talking about before about Billy's grim, despondent world that he casts out, it gets put up to new heights on this record over here, especially with the track Slewfoot. It might be one of the most ominously dark hip-hop tracks I've ever heard overall. And it's brought so far out to the point that I don't even really think I enjoy it, which is weird. The really heavy beat and those supremely ominous vocal manipulations that just kind of like hang over the track become a little one note as the track progresses into basically nowhere. It just kind of stays in its own cave the whole time. My favorite tracks ended up being the more slow churning ones like Frida and Dead Cars. They were more dynamic and have really cool beat switch ups going on, but I could totally see if you're not digging some of the loops on here, these tracks are going to become pretty tedious to you, but you should probably already know that going into an Armand project. The style of how they produce their tracks is pretty similar as to past releases. Personally, I thought this record hit a lot more than it missed though, so I mean, it sits right behind Paraffin, I think, as my favorite Armand albums, and with that being said, I'm feeling an 8 over here on Shrines. So for all you collectors out there, Backwoodz Studioz, Billy Woods' label, does have this up on a limited edition white vinyl, so I'm gonna have links down below in the description box to grab that before it sells out. And if you listen to this new Armand record, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and share, and if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.